Well, welcome back to Inside. We are here with Aging and In-Home Services of Northeast Indiana. Megan and Mary and I have been talking about the Older Americans Act and how it is Older Americans Month. Now, you mentioned 17 million 65-plus-year-olds in America in 1963. That number is just growing. We talked about the Older Americans Act. So tell me what kind of services, what kind of things did the Older Americans Act establish or put into place?
For sure. So the Older Americans Act, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's that meals, nutrition programs, those are important because as we've talked about before, nutrition is important when it comes to seniors. And then we also have different programs like in-home care. So in-home care, those aids, you still have to live. So you're still getting up, you're cleaning, you're going to the bathroom, you're showering. So having someone to assist you with those types of things. And then there's of course things like transportation and different services to get you around the community as well that are provided. But it's really that connection of your daily life. You want to maintain your daily life, which is where the Older Americans Act comes into play. The funding comes into play.
Well, we mentioned 17 million in 63. That number's not the same now, is it?
No. You remember that all those military veterans who came home to wives, and spouses, you know what they did? They did that and created what they called baby boomers, all right? And now all of those baby boomers are turning 65 and need services. And actually, Megan found a term that I had not heard before. So this was a great segment to be talking about because I learned a whole bunch of stuff. What was that term?
So the term is solo agers. So the baby boomer generation has really taken, there's a lot of them, but they're also not the traditional type person. Some of them didn't get married at all. Some of them got married and got divorced. Some of them had a lot of children, but now they don't speak to their children. So it's all just a different dynamic. But about the baby boomers, there are, fun fact for you, 10,000 baby boomers that are going to turn 65 I believe it's every day. Yeah, every day, because there's 7 every minute.
Wow.
Yeah, until 2030. So it's not stopping anytime soon.
No.
And so with the abundance of the population, we also have the abundance of the needs for services, which it's...
And they don't have family caregivers for what? This solo ager lives alone, doesn't have the connection, might not be affiliated with another group such as your church or fraternity or something that does it. So it's interesting though, baby boomers are different than the military veterans we talked after the war, but everybody needs those very same set of services for the goal of living safe and independent in your own home for as long as possible.
Right.
And so that was the Aging Network that was established and funded by the Older Americans Act. But no matter what was 63 or whatever, 2019, woo! We're still looking at the same services because known as ADLs, Activities of Daily Living. We all do the very same thing. Sometimes we just need help, and sometimes we need a lot of help to do it. And the Older Americans Act funds those community-based services that you come to Aging and In-Home Services to find out about.
And obviously that funding has to grow because there's so many more people.
Yeah, that's nice to say.
Isn't that nice? That's like, in theory, that's a beautiful thought, isn't it?
Right now, they are looking at reauthorization of the Older Americans Act and discussing increasing the amount of funding in it, because I think in the original Older Americans Act that there were $9 and some cents per older adult spent on services. Now you have more adults, but the same amount of money, so the amount per adult spent on services is like $3 and some cents. So unfortunately, it has not grown with the population, which is why family caregivers have become a part of the Older Americans Act in terms of support dollars. And also military family caregivers, there has been new legislation through the Administration on Community Living to help those military caregivers handle 5 years or 30 years or whatever, and keeping folks out of a nursing home.
Right.
Because when this started, in President Kennedy's day, you either stayed home, somebody helped you, or you went to a nursing home. You may recall the term poor farm. People went to the poor farm because they couldn't take care of themselves. They didn't have any money to have anyone take care of them.
I use the term poor farm often with my children.
They're sending you there?
Yes, they have. We're there. Well, I want to continue the discussion about the cost of care, what it means to us, and we're going to do that when we come back. So stick with us. We'll be right back on Insight.